Some memories stay with you. Not because you want them to, but because they won't let you go. This story, it happened years ago. Back when I was still figuring out who I was. Still deciding what I believed. And what I didn't. Maybe a little more skeptical. A little more sure that the world made sense. And that if something couldn't be explained, it just wasn't real. If someone had come up to me back then and told me that ghosts existed, that there were places the dead refused to leave, I would have smiled politely, laughed it off. But after that trip, I stopped laughing. It was winter break. Me and my best friend. Let's call him Jake. We decided to spend a few days up in the mountains. No real reason. We just needed to get away. No parties. No social media. Just quiet. And snow. Lots of snow. We found this cabin online. It looked simple. No frills, no distractions. Just one room. 2 beds. A tiny wood stove. And the kind of silence you don't get in the city anymore. When we pulled up, it was already late afternoon. The sun was low, hitting the trees just right. Like something out of a postcard. Everything felt still. Not in a creepy way, just peaceful. Empty. And calm. There was no cell signal. No Wi-Fi. Not even a radio in the cabin. We didn't mind. We actually liked it that way. Inside, the walls were covered in old pine wood. Wood smoke, maybe something older, underneath. The kind of smell that makes you feel like time slows down. Like nothing bad could happen here. We dropped our bags, lit the fire, and just sat there. First impression, it was perfect. The first night. Everything was fine. We had dinner. Played cards. Talked about life. That kind of slow conversation you only have when there's no phone in your hand and no signal to reach for. The fire crackled quietly. Snow tapped the windows. And for the first time in a long time, I felt relaxed. We went to bed around midnight. I remember thinking, this is exactly what we needed. But then I woke up. It wasn't a dream. There was no image, no sound in my mind. Just this sudden awareness. Like something reached into my sleep and pulled me out. I lay there, frozen under the blanket. Eyes open, not sure why I was awake. Then I heard it. Creaking. Not random popping wood or the cabin settling. This was different. Slow. Heavy. Deliberate. Like footsteps on old floorboards. Right outside our door. I turned my head slightly. Jake was asleep. Breathing slow. Still wrapped up in his blanket. I stayed still, listening. Trying not to breathe too loud. The creaking stopped. Silence. Not peaceful silence, but the kind that fills your ears. To quiet, like something was waiting for me to move. My heart was pounding fast and loud in my chest. Not like I was scared, but like I was being watched. I told myself it was nothing. Just the house settling. That's what old wood does, right? The second night, I didn't sleep easily. I kept tossing, turning, listening for something I couldn't explain. It wasn't fear exactly. More like tension. Like I was waiting for something to happen. And then, just like the night before, 2 a.m. Again, the same slow, drawn-out sound of old wood. Under pressure. But this time, there was something else. A sharp, metallic sound. Like a spoon hitting the floor. Clean. Clear. And completely out of place. I sat up. The room was dark, except for the low, orange glow from the wood stove. The air felt colder than before. My breath hung just a little in the air. Not much, but enough to notice. I scanned the room. Jake was still asleep. Same as the night before. No movement. No reaction. I got out of bed. Quiet. Barefoot on the wooden floor. Each step felt like it echoed, even though I was trying not to make a sound. Barely 6 feet away, but in that moment, it felt like crossing a football field. Everything looked normal. The cups were stacked. Plates untouched. Pots hanging exactly where we'd left them. But on the floor, right below the counter, was a single spoon, just lying there. I picked it up. It was cold. I turned it over in my hand. No explanation. No noise, no reason. Nothing had fallen. Nothing nearby to knock it off. It didn't make sense. And then the front door. It creaked just a little, but enough. Enough to make me freeze. For a second, I actually thought, maybe Jake had gotten up. Maybe he opened it. Maybe this was all just nothing. But I didn't hear footsteps, no movement from the bed, just silence, and that open-ended creak, still hanging in the air. My heart dropped into my stomach. I slowly turned around, the spoon still in my hand. The door was closed, not wide open, not swinging. Like someone had touched it, just enough to let me know they were there. The next morning, I told Jake what I'd heard. The creaking, the spoon, the door. He just laughed. Said, "You probably dreamed it, man. We're in the woods. It's just your brain messing with you." And maybe I wanted to believe that. So I let it go. Tried to enjoy the day. We went for a short hike. Made soup. Chopped firewood. Pretended things were normal. But then the third night came. And something changed. I woke up again. But this time there was no sound. No spoon. No creaking. Just pressure. It was like the air in the cabin got heavier. Like the space around me shrank, pressing down on my chest. Every inch of my skin felt tight. Electric, as if something in the room knew I was awake. I couldn't move at first. Couldn't even lift my head. Just lay there. Then, I forced myself to look. And that's when I saw it. Near the door, in the corner. Just barely illuminated by the orange glow of the wood stove. A shadow. Tall. Thin. Not moving. Not even swaying. It was like a cutout in the dark, perfectly still, like it didn't breathe. Like it wasn't part of the room. For a second, I thought maybe my eyes were playing tricks on me. Maybe the shape was a coat, or a trick of the firelight. But I knew better, because I felt it. It was watching me. And suddenly, I couldn't breathe. My throat locked. My chest froze. I wanted to scream, but no sound came out. Then it moved. Just one step, toward Jake's bed. I tried to call his name, I couldn't. I tried to sit up, I couldn't. My body felt like stone. My mind was racing, but I was completely trapped. Forced to watch as that thing slowly, silently, moved closer to him. One step. Another step. Then it stopped. Still, right at the edge of his bed, and just stood there. I tried to call out, but my voice, it was stuck. My throat locked. Like it didn't belong to me anymore. All I could do was stare. The shadow leaned forward. Slowly. Hovering over Jake. It didn't touch him. Didn't make a sound. Just paused there. Like it was deciding something. And then, it turned. Controlled. Curious. Almost curious. And it looked at me. Right at me. I don't know how I knew. It didn't have eyes. No face. But somehow, I felt the gaze. And when it saw me, I felt it in my chest. Not fear, not just fear. But cold, not the kind of cold you get on a snowy morning. This was different. Sharp. Empty. Like standing on the edge of a cliff. With nothing behind you but death. And then it vanished. Just like that. Melted into the shadows in the corner of the room. Gone. As if it had never been there at all. But I knew it had. And it knew I had seen it. The next morning, we both woke up quiet. No jokes. No teasing. Just silence. I looked at Jake. He looked back. And for a second I thought maybe he had no idea what happened. But I had to ask. Did you see anything? He hesitated. Then nodded. And said, "Yeah, it was standing next to me. But it was looking at you." That sentence. It hit harder than fear. Because now, I knew it wasn't just in my head. I wasn't dreaming. Wasn't overreacting. It was real. Whatever it was, it saw me. And Jake saw it too. We didn't talk much after that. Just packed our bags. Didn't even eat breakfast. Didn't care. We just needed to leave. And we did. We never went back. Not to the cabin. Not to that road. Not even near the mountain. It just became something we didn't talk about. Over the years, I've told a few people this story. Friends. A couple strangers over drinks. And it always ends the same way. They ask, "What do you think it was?" And the truth is, I don't know. A spirit. A ghost. A shadow of someone who once lived in that cabin. Or maybe something older. Something colder. Something that never lived at all. I've stopped trying to explain it. Some memories stay with you. Not because you want them to, but because they won't let go. Since then, I always sleep with a nightlight. I never leave doors unlocked. And I've learned. The scariest part of the night isn't what you see. It's what might be watching. When you think you're alone. So let me ask you this. If it were you, lying there, frozen, and something stepped into your room, what would you do?